Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got in an argument with my mom, she slapped me across the face, she began to hit me, she started beating me, I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death.
Hello, welcome back to Mysterious Case. Wishing you a joyful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos. And please remember to keep yourself and those around you safe. In this episode, we'll revisit the case of Gregory Ramos. It took place in DeBary, a small, peaceful city in Volusia County, Florida, USA. Located about 40 kilometers north of Orlando, DeBary sits along the eastern bank of the St. Johns River, the longest river in Florida. Unlike the famous destinations of Miami or Orlando's theme parks, DeBary isn't a well-known spot. It's a simple residential community with a population of around 22,000. The city embodies the charm of suburban Florida, tree-lined streets, low-rise homes, and fresh air thanks to nearby nature preserves like Blue Springs State Park, home to numerous manatees. Florida is renowned for its sunny weather, beaches, and quirky tales often dubbed Florida man stories. Yet DeBary rarely made the news, until this horrific case unfolded. The house at 35 Alicante Road became the site where Gail Clevenger was murdered by her own son. A nearby church where Gregory buried his mother's body was a familiar spot to locals, making the tragedy even more haunting amid what seemed like a serene setting. On November 2nd, 2018, a 911 call from 15-year-old Gregory Ramos prompted police in Volusia County, Florida, to respond. Gregory reported that his home had been broken into, items were ransacked, and his mother, Gail Clevenger, had mysteriously vanished. At first, it seemed like a simple burglary, but the truth was far more horrifying. Gregory wasn't just the caller, he was the main perpetrator in his mother's death. Gail Clevenger, born on July 4, 1972, was a strong and talented woman. Raised in a large Florida family as one of 6 siblings, she grew up under the strict guidance of her parents. From a young age, Gail loved the arts, playing the violin, painting, and sketching. After graduating from Merritt Island High School in 1990, she studied architecture at the University of Miami, excelling in her degree and quickly securing a job in the competitive architecture field. While Gail's career flourished, her personal life was less smooth. She endured a traumatic first marriage with an abusive husband. With support from family and friends, she escaped that relationship and later found love with Daniel Clevenger, who became her second husband. In 2018, Gail lived with Daniel Gregory, her son from her previous marriage, and Daniel's 2 children from another relationship in a home in DeBary, Florida. Despite her professional success, Gail struggled to connect with Gregory, now a reserved 15-year-old who preferred gaming and music over schoolwork. The relationship between Gail and Gregory was often tense, especially over his lack of focus on studies. What seemed like typical family conflicts quietly built up to a tragic breaking point.
911, where's your emergency?
I just got home, and my house is completely trashed. It looks like someone broke in the side door.
Okay. How long have you been gone?
I've been gone all school day. I got home.
Are you there by yourself?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
Okay.
And my mom's car is here and it's on, and she's not home, and she's supposed to go to work today, and I can't find her.
Your mom is okay. Your mom's car is there. Is there any other way she ever gets to work? Does she ever get a ride from anyone else?
It's on. The car is on. It's turned on.
The car is on, and you're sure she is not there?
I searched the entire place. I've been here for like 8 minutes. I've been looking. I can't find her.
Okay, I want you to stay on the phone with me. We are not going to disconnect until I have an officer that is with you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, did you see anyone leave the house?
No.
Okay. Stay on the phone with me. I'm making a couple of notes. Are you safe where you're at?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's anyone here. I checked the entire house because I was looking for her, but she's not here.
Gregory Ramos, born in 2003, wasn't a standout teenager. Living in Volusia County, he was a student at University High School and described by friends as so ordinary there was nothing remarkable about him. Gregory wasn't very sociable, preferring to stay alone in his room, playing games and listening to music over social interaction. To help him open up, Gail enrolled him in activities like Boy Scouts and karate from a young age, even joining him in some to bond with her son. Though not an exceptional student, Gregory was intelligent and capable of doing well with little effort. However, he lacked motivation, especially in biology. Gail noticed her son's laziness and frequently reminded him, leading to arguments with Gregory during his teenage years. In 2018, while his grades showed slight improvement, by November they slipped again, further straining his relationship with his mother. Beyond gaming and music, Gregory joined the Police Explorers program, a youth initiative for teens interested in law enforcement. There he had a mentor named Ken Jones, who later played a significant role in the case. Friends like Dylan Sigler and Brian Porras were part of Gregory's life, though he wasn't particularly close to many people. These details paint a picture of an average boy harboring something unpredictable beneath the surface. On November 1st, 2018, with his stepfather Daniel away on a business trip and his two step-siblings staying elsewhere, only Gregory and Gail remained at home. An argument over grades erupted, pushing everything far beyond control. On the evening of November 1st, 2018, at the house at 35 Alicante Road, DeBary, Florida, an argument erupted between Gregory Ramos and Gail Clevenger. The cause was a familiar one: Gregory's poor grades at school. Gail, as a concerned mother, was frustrated with her son's ongoing indifference toward his studies. This time, with no stepfather Daniel or step-siblings present to defuse the situation, things quickly escalated. According to Gregory's later confession, Gail slapped him and continued hitting him as he argued back. In a fit of rage, Gregory responded in a way no one could have anticipated. He lunged at his mother and strangled her with his hands. The struggle unfolded in the master bedroom, starting on the bed and spilling onto the floor. Gregory recounted that she was pushed into a corner, her head striking the wall, her body collapsing to the ground. He used both hands to choke her, despite her thrashing and clawing at his arms to break free. After about 30 harrowing minutes, Gregory thought she was dead, but when he noticed her still moving, he returned to finish the job. When Gail stopped breathing, Gregory didn't panic. He began planning a cover-up. He retrieved a wheelbarrow from the house, placed his mother's body in it, and dragged it to the family's minivan. To make it easier to move her, he tied 2 straps around her legs and pulled her into the trunk. Then Gregory drove to a nearby church, bringing a shovel and a few candles to dig a hole. At a fire pit area behind the church, he dug a shallow grave, dumped his mother's body in, poured bleach over it to mask the smell, and covered it with dirt, trying to make it look as natural as possible. Gregory's cold-blooded actions didn't end there. He even attempted to cut off his mother's wedding ring to sell it, but gave up because he lacked the tools to cut through the bone. That night, he transformed himself from a teenager into a ruthless killer. After burying his mother's body under the fire pit at the church, Gregory Ramos didn't rush to flee. Instead, he returned home and began staging a fake crime scene. Realizing that if his mother suddenly disappeared without a reason, people would grow suspicious, Gregory decided to make the house look like it had been burglarized. He ransacked everything, flung open kitchen cabinets, smashed dishes, overturned furniture in the bedrooms, and left a trail of chaos throughout. To make it more convincing, Gregory also took valuable items like a speaker system, his gaming computer, and a hunting bow, intending to use them in his later plans. He left his mother's minivan at home with the engine running, as if she had left in a hurry. Once finished, Gregory changed his clothes, discarded the dirt and blood-stained ones in the woods near the church, and calmly went to bed, preparing for the next day as if nothing had happened. On the morning of November 2nd, Gregory went to school as usual. He contacted 2 friends, Dylan Sigler and Brian Porras, asking them for a ride. In the car, he revealed the chilling truth. "Last night, I killed my mom." Despite this, all 3 carried on with their school day normally. By midday, before 6th period, they skipped class and returned to Gregory's house. There, he enlisted Dylan and Brian to help perfect his ruse. The 2 friends kicked in the front door, smashed more items, and took things like the speakers, hunting bow, and computer to make it look as much like a break-in as possible. After Dylan and Brian left, Gregory called 911 around noon, pretending to be in a panic as he reported a break-in and his mother's disappearance. He skillfully acted the part, his voice trembling as he described the chaotic scene at home. But it was his unnatural calmness beneath the words that raised red flags for the police. A clumsy performance. When Volusia County Police arrived at the Alicante Roadhouse on the afternoon of November 2nd, 2018, they immediately sensed the scene didn't quite fit a typical burglary. The door was kicked in, belongings were smashed across the floor, but the destruction seemed overly dramatic. Gail's minivan was still there, engine running, with no sign she'd left. This puzzled the officers. If it were a thief, why not take the car or larger items? Gregory, standing alone amid the mess, appeared worried about his missing mother. He was taken to the police station to calm down, while investigators began digging deeper. At the station, Gregory called Ken Jones, his mentor from the Police Explorers program, for comfort. Ken arrived quickly, joining him in the interrogation room alongside Sergeant Pagliari. The questioning started gently with basic inquiries about the previous day. Gregory claimed that on the evening of November 1st, he returned home at 8:47 p.m. after directing traffic at a fair, ate dinner with his mom, and went to bed. The next morning, she woke him up, drove him to school, and everything was normal until he returned home to chaos. But Pagliari quickly spotted inconsistencies. Gregory recalled the exact time he got home, yet was vague about the dinner or his school drop-off. Notably, there were bruises on his face, which he attributed to a fight with Joe, a schoolmate. Gregory's body language betrayed unease. He crossed his arms, rubbed his legs, and shielded his eyes, signs of stress. When asked about his relationship with his mother, he admitted to occasional tension but insisted, "I'd never get violent with her." He repeated this phrase multiple times, as if trying to convince both himself and his listeners. Pagliari, with years of experience, began to suspect Gregory knew more than he was letting on. While Gregory Ramos sat in the interrogation room with Sergeant Pagliari, police simultaneously tracked down his two friends, Dylan Sigler and Brian Porras, to verify his story. At first, their accounts aligned. They met Gregory at school on November 2nd, saw him acting normal during lunch, and knew nothing about a break-in or his mother's disappearance. But as investigators pressed further, cracks in their lies began to show. Dylan admitted he'd been to Gregory's house a few days earlier and was holding on to a hunting bow Gregory had lent him. This immediately raised red flags, since Gregory had claimed the bow was stolen. Brian said he'd only received a text from Gregory about something happening at home but didn't know details. Both tried to downplay their connection to Gregory, insisting they weren't that close, though Gregory had once mentioned helping Dylan through a mental health crisis. The pressure mounted when police asked about their actions after school. Dylan confessed that he and Brian skipped sixth period, drove Gregory home, and found the house torn apart. Gregory handed Dylan his gaming computer and the bow to hold on to, and told them to dump items like a printer in a dumpster at a Winn-Dixie parking lot. Brian initially denied it, but when he learned Dylan had talked, he admitted his involvement. Most crucially, Dylan revealed a chilling detail. On the ride to school that morning, Gregory had said, "I killed my mom." Dylan and Brian claimed they didn't believe him, thinking it was a joke. But when they returned to his house after school, Gregory was serious, even taking them to the nearby church to show where he'd buried his mother's body. They helped him toss some items into a lake near the fire pit to dispose of evidence. Despite knowing the truth, both went along with it, even taking Gregory's speakers and belongings for themselves. Their statements shattered Gregory's charade, forcing Pagliari to confront him directly. After Dylan Sigler and Brian Porras revealed the truth, Sergeant Pagliari returned to the interrogation room with Gregory Ramos, armed with undeniable evidence. He said bluntly, "Your friends have told us everything. The missing items from the house have been found. It's time for you to come clean." At first, Gregory maintained his calm demeanor, denying everything and firing back, "Are you saying my friends robbed my house?" A clever counter-question. But when Pagliari disclosed that Dylan and Brian had implicated him in his mother's death, Gregory fell silent for a long moment before suddenly confessing, a mind still scribbling in chaos.
What did they tell you?
I'm not telling you what they told me because I don't have to tell you what they told me. You tell me what.
Off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I couldn't because I didn't have a knife strong enough to cut bones. Oh, well, whatever. Anyways, so I dug that hole, and then I went home, and I caught a ride to school with my
That you staged a crime scene.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Oh, so in the middle of the night, I realized that, hey, my mom just up and disappears. That's not going to make any sense. So I decided to make it look like a box of strawberry. So I just went to my house and I just threw shit everywhere, which looked pretty convincing. And yeah.
After his chilling confession, Gregory Ramos was arrested at the Volusia County Police Station on November 2nd, 2018. Though only 15, he was charged as an adult with first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. On November 4th, he made his first court appearance at the Juvenile Detention Center. To avoid a lengthy trial and a life sentence, Gregory pleaded guilty to all charges. The official sentencing hearing was steeped in emotion, with Gail's family, siblings Joe, Ivy, and Lynn, present to voice their grief. Gail's sister, Lynn, choked back tears as she said, "I didn't just lose one person, but two." The world is less colorful without Gail. Gregory also spoke, apologizing to the family and pleading for leniency for Dylan and Brian, claiming they didn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. Under a plea deal, he was sentenced to 45 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. But he'll remain on lifetime probation. Dylan Sigler and Brian Porras, charged as accessories after the fact to second-degree murder, faced different fates. Dylan couldn't secure immediate release because his $200,000 bail exceeded his family's means, and the court was concerned about his history of mental instability. He spent 828 days in jail before pleading no contest on February 8, 2021, with charges reduced to accessory. He received 10 years of probation. Before Gail's family, Dylan apologized and was forgiven, with them urging him to rebuild his life. Brian fared better. His family posted $100,000 bail shortly after his arrest. Over the 3+ years awaiting trial, he graduated high school, attended college, and worked. On July 8, 2021, Brian faced the court, insisting he was naive and didn't believe Gregory had killed his mother. However, Gail's family showed no leniency toward him, as he had withheld key information from police. He was sentenced to 14 years of probation, including 364 days in jail to start. Amid the haunting tale of Gregory Ramos, Gail emerges not just as a victim, but as a remarkable woman whose life brimmed with resilience and love. A talented architect, she overcame hardships to build a solid career after graduating from the University of Miami. Despite the scars of a violent first marriage, Gail opened her heart to new love with Daniel, crafting the family she always dreamed of. Gail was a devoted mother, tirelessly trying to draw Gregory out of his insular world. She joined him in Boy Scouts, practiced karate alongside him, and spent countless hours fostering closeness and encouragement. An artist at heart, Gail played the violin, painted, and left behind sketches that stand as testaments to her creativity. To her family, she was a daughter, sister, and friend cherished by all. At the trial, her siblings spoke of the boundless love Gail gave to everyone and the unfillable void left by her absence. The tragedy stings deeper because Gail lost her life to the very son she loved and nurtured. In his courtroom apology, Gregory admitted, "I took my mom away from myself and everyone else." His actions not only ended Gail's life, but etched a permanent wound in her family's hearts. Though Gregory faces punishment, no sentence can bring Gail back. A woman who weathered life's storms with strength, only to fall to her son's impulsive rage. Gail's family now embarks on a long journey to heal. They seek peace while hoping Gregory never forgives himself for his crime. Gail deserves to be remembered not just for her death, but for the life she lived, rich with meaning and love. The Gregory Ramos case isn't just a shocking Florida story. It leaves lingering reflections on family dynamics, teenage psychology, and the consequences of impulsive decisions. From an ordinary 15-year-old, Gregory turned into a cold-blooded killer after a single argument with his mother. His callousness, from burying her body under a fire pit, staging a fake break-in, to his boastful demeanor during his confession, led Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood to label him one of the 3 most severe sociopaths he'd ever encountered. Dylan Sigler and Brian Porras, though not directly involved in the killing, couldn't escape accountability. Their ignorance doesn't excuse their role in helping Gregory cover up the crime. In the police car, the trio casually chatted, sang, and worried about getting scolded or losing part-time jobs, as if oblivious to how their lives had irrevocably changed. This immaturity is both blameworthy and pitiable, reflecting how some youths lack awareness of consequences. The case also raises questions about the mother-son relationship between Gail and Gregory. Minor family conflicts aren't uncommon, but what drove Gregory to cross such a moral line? Was it a lack of connection, pressure over grades, or a deeper psychological issue overlooked? Whatever the answer, the cost was staggering. A mother's life lost, a family shattered, and 3 teenagers facing bleak futures. Over 6 years later, in April 2025, Gregory remains in prison while Dylan and Brian live under probation. Gail Clevenger leaves behind a lesson in love and resilience, and the case serves as a reminder of the critical need for communication and care within families. One can only hope this tragedy won't repeat, and those left behind can find light amid the darkness it cast. What do you think about Gregory Ramos or Gail? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoy how we present these cases, consider subscribing to our channel. See you next time, and thank you for your support.